Alright, welcome viewers and viewers at home who are watching this on YouTube, as I'm going to probably post this up later. This is a Star Citizen discussion because we're all like crazy hyped over it, even though it's probably not going to come out for like another year or so. And it's funny because Nate and quite a few other people within our circle of friends have always given me shit for not being dedicated to anything, because in truth, kind of haven't been. Nothing's been that exciting until now. I mean, I've even gone through making an organization page and getting that all set up. Put a lot of effort into that, and the game's not even out yet. But joining me, I got Nate, a.k.a. Kane Bring the Pain, a.k.a.
Yep.
Kane Bringing the Game, a.k.a. Game Bring the Pain, and as
Thank
well, Crown.
Yes.
You don't get a chance to
on
talk yet,
phone.
Nate.
It's weird that you not have the great setup I normally have.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't be as awesome as you. I did what I could. And you're not in it, unfortunately.
Well, if it's the power supply, nothing you could do.
Oh, you mean as far as your computer? Yeah. If I could actually see the computer, I'd probably be able to do anything with it. But, yeah, I mean, we got Mark in here. His computer's unfortunately busted, so he's at least able to join us via phone.
Yes, if I only could find my talking device for my headphone, I could actually use it on my other computer, but for some reason, well, with my room looking like that this is the moment, it's kind of like bomb has dropped on it, so...
As you can see, the stuff plastered everywhere. We got screenshots of, screenshots and different concept art from different ships and just the game itself. Star Citizen, I think I already said that a million times over, is what we're talking about. And to my right, and I think it was everybody's right, I'm not mistaken, is a quote from a very intelligent individual on IGN who argued with Nate over this, saying this game is looking more and more like Warframe in space.
Yeah, I wonder what he
Warframe
was smoking.
in space.
Which he actually goes on to say that Star Citizen takes... No, he was like talking about... No, the thing with Warframe is it takes place on planets and ships. So I was like, yeah, and ships, and ships,
in
and
space!
If I had gone Mass Effect, I could be like, yeah, maybe, but come on.
But, and then you can see kind of our insignia in the middle. That's actually the main dock of Carthage, because we decided to go with the name Carthage Industries. Because the organization we created, which we are like the three pillars of...
Because we're expecting it to burn eventually.
No, that's not the reason why we called it Carthage. It's because for a very long time, before its unfortunate demise, it was the absolute center of like all trade. And what we're planning on doing with Carthage Industries is doing just about everything. And we want people who join our organization to have the opportunity to do just about anything they might want to. I'm basically in control of anything trade related. That's my division. Mark's, or I'm just gonna start calling you Crown because you kind of abandoned the whole Mark thing.
Well, it doesn't matter. Everyone still calls me Mark, so...
They're just so used to it. Crown is in control of everything involving exploration, whether it be scouting. He's gonna try and find new planets and space routes and name them Swedish names that people are gonna be absolutely awful at trying to pronounce, or YOLO Swag Money 5.
Yes.
And of course, Nate, being Nate, has to be the bandit of some kind and has to cause absolute destruction and mayhem.
I'm gonna be a pirate.
He's gonna be a pirate, but his legitimate front face role of the company is he's gonna be the one handling security as well as bounty hunting. So each of us is in control of something we're all like passionate about, and that way, because it's split between the three of us and our areas of expertise, that's kind of how at least we feel we're gonna have the upper hand in respect to other organizations.
And one of the things that's like really cool about the game, and I know like Vita had some concern about it, is that even though like people who join our organization, we definitely want them to fly our colors and represent Carthage. It's not that you necessarily everything you have to do has to be for Carthage. the game allows for you to do whatever you want to do, and obviously it's your game, so you're going to do whatever you want to do. But I mean, if you want to go off and do your own side projects, have your own business where you're selling parts on yourself, or you just want to go explore. I mean, that's fish as well. The game is completely open to that, and that's one of the main draws for me, and I know you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not trying to make this into a second job. Now, in order for us to have kind of
that
our
would
end...
be nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we could pay you guys real money, that'd be nice. Of course, we would have to have that kind of money. But what I mean is, in the long run, our plan is to be able to compensate members either with in-game credits or ship parts. But in order to do that, we do kind of need some support. So although we are not enforcing anybody to stick to any kind of the job principles or anything like that, any help obviously is greatly appreciated, and we'll always keep that in mind. Because again, we're trying to get everybody to experience just about everything. But if you want to do your own thing, that's cool. I mean, as long as anybody who joins isn't joining us just to go ahead and take our resources and our credits and that's it, or even just like spying for another organization, you can do whatever you want. We're cool with it.
Never happened. That's not going to happen at all. I mean, we're not spying on anyone.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. We're straight edge, so.
Really?
But we definitely like we encourage role play because that's when it comes to like we actually have our in-game names that we're going to be going by and stuff. But it's definitely not enforced. Some people like when they get into the game, they just want to go into dogfighting and just do the space combat, and that's all you want to do, and that's completely fine. But role playing is definitely a bonus if you want to participate in that, because we'll be participating in that.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as we've planned, we're trying to do maybe something not so much live stream, but maybe on each have our own little cameras recording what we're doing, and maybe try and turn it into a series. We're still trying to work out how that's gonna play into effect, but we kind of want everybody's character to be involved. We don't want it just to be the story of Alderin, Kane, and Trig, which is the 3 character names we already came up with for ourselves. We kind of want everybody to feel like they are somebody special within the story if they are participating in the story. If not, again, I mean, that's the whole point. We kind of want everybody to have fun, because that's something you really don't see in a whole lot of guilds and a lot of other MMOs. I mean, some do, but for the most part, you're just like cogs in the machine, and that's definitely not the kind of feeling we're going for.
Yeah.
So, I guess probably a good way for people to have, well, like why would we want to get excited about joining Carthage Industries or just the game itself? What would you guys say is like the most, and what not the most, but like what are you looking forward to the most in the game? Like, what are you most excited about?
For me, all right. Actually, Mark, you go ahead.
Okay, I can go. For me, it's kind of like EVE Online, but just the fact that you can be in the spaceship yourself and looks quite cooler. Okay, you can't really take over planets and do all the stuff you can in EVE, but I mean, the other stuff compensates it all for me. So I remember playing EVE, but it wasn't really for me because it's kind of boring. It's kind of spreadsheety, that game. But from what it looks like, Star Citizen is going to be more yourself is more involved in doing everything, and also with ground combat and all that. So that's what I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and the joke I've been making a lot as far as Star Citizen, it's more like Action Eve. Because you have a lot of the same aspects as EVE as far as a lot of different freedom, a lot of what you can do, but EVE feels more like a business, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it may not be what everybody's interested in. With this, you have the ability to fly your own ships, get into dogfights, which I'm excited for. Being a veteran Star Wars Galaxies player, that was something that I enjoyed to do, and the one thing I would probably have to say is the thing I love most about what's going on here with Star Citizen is the freedom and community, which is what sold Star Wars Galaxies for me in the first place. I mean, again, this game hasn't even been released already, and even in the forums, speaking to a lot of the people, they are more than helpful. Somebody sent me a PDF of the entire lore that I missed out on from the very beginning up until now, so I can play catch-up.
Yeah. I read it, and I mean, that one wasn't, I can say, it wasn't that much important lore in that one. At least what I thought.
Well, yeah, it's mostly just what comes directly from the website, so that way you're not going through the entire archive. But, I mean, it still gives you a good idea of what's going on, but it just goes to the point of the fact that people are friendly. Again, in a lot of different forums, you have people that are constantly trolling one another or bashing this or bashing that. But for the most part, I think the worst thing I've seen anybody say to anybody else was, good luck getting that ship. And it wasn't an insult. It was simply because the ship the person was talking about was one of like the endgame ships. It's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money, and the person's talking about getting it from the very beginning. So it's more just like, hey, be more reasonable. It wasn't even really an insult. It's the worst I've seen so far.
And I will say that kind of ties into like what I'm most excited about. It's just the overall take that the community and the development team is having towards this game. Like you said, it's with the community. I mean, there's definitely helpful people out there. They're excited about the game as well, and you can tell that the development team, the people at working with Chris Roberts. I can't even remember what the actual
Roberts Space
Industries.
It's what the.
Oh, you're talking about the actual developer?
Cloud Imperium.
Cloud Imperium.
Yeah. So
Imperium, our rivals.
Our rivals.
But like, even, you know, and I think this is like something we kind of really stress here, because I think a lot of people misconceive what the pledging and buying the ships is all about. But when it comes to like participation with and interacting with the community, I have to say, like, the guys at Cloud Imperium are, you know, taking an extra step. Like, they got Wingman's Hangar, where they're giving weekly updates. They got a actual contest going on, and it's been going on for the past couple of weeks, the Next Great Starship, where they got fans of the game actually competing to get their starship put into the game. And all of these things are getting paid for by subscribers, which is basically they're throwing, you know, the development team at, you know, some extra money to do these community events and these shows and stuff like that. And not only by them subscribing are we, like, the entire community is getting this, but the subscribers are getting their own bonuses. Like, they'll get to see concept art for like new ships before anybody else. So it's like they're doing everything they can to keep people involved and giving as much back as they can. It's not all about give us money and fuck off once the game is done, and that's I feel a lot of misconception because of what we've seen in other free to play, and like especially with like the rise of early access becoming more popular and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
but
they're not taking that approach when it comes to Star Citizen.
Yeah, but you can tell already from the beginning from Chris Roberts that he went back to gaming from being away from so long, but he just wanted to do it by himself. No other people pulling strings or telling him what he needs to do with the game. That's why I think he is really loving this situation where he has all the money he needs to do this game, and you can tell by that he has his whole crew on with him in this project.
Yeah, and it's a perfect example of crowdsourcing, because everybody is winning. It's a give and take. It's not just take. And like you've kind of already pointed out, as far as the pledging system and what a lot of people seem to be misunderstanding, is when you're pledging, you're not pledging for the ships that they're showing. You're not buying, like for the Constellation, like $245 or so for just a ship. If people were to read, you're getting the single-player game, you're getting the multiplayer MMO-style game, Star Citizen itself. You're getting like months of insurance already prepaid to you for your ship, so if it gets destroyed, you don't have to worry about it. like a collector's case. You're getting a lot of stuff as you pledge higher and higher. You're basically paying for a lot of stuff. It's not just the ship itself. And it's not abandonware. A lot of people think they're going to just grab all this money, and then once it's time to release, they're going to be like, kick rocks, we're out of here. It really doesn't feel like it's what's going to be.
But people are easy to condemn. A lot of people, seeing how there's another game, Cube World, which I fairly enjoy, that people have been hating on the developer because he's the kind of person who just does stuff, then goes away for a while, doesn't tweet at all, and then comes back and tells people. And people want updates regularly. So I think that's the important thing, that especially that they do with the Wingman Hanger and other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to keep in touch with your community. That's where you're going to really... That's going to be your biggest strength, because they're going to know what's going well and what needs to be worked on. They're going to tell you.
Right, and I mean, it's like, specifically when it comes to the pledging, like, and me and Anthony was talking about this before, like, we got the $45 one, where you get the military, what the hell is it called? I can't remember the name of it.
It's the Aurora, but it's the Aurora LN, which is going to be like the military version of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people, when they see that, they're like, oh, I'm paying $45 to get the ship. Like, no, you're pledging $45 towards the development of this game. As a bonus, you're getting the full game of Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and this ship, and there's like a couple of other things that you get along with that.
Oh yeah, they give you credits too.
Yeah, but it's not. You're not buying the ship. You're pledging, and you're getting the ship as a bonus because you pledged. That, I mean, that's a lot of people don't understand. Exactly, and like going back to the example you gave with the Constellation, I think it's like $225 or something like that. You're not buying that ship. You're pledging $225, and then you get that ship as a bonus, because when the game comes out, you can totally buy that game legit with in-game currency. And as a matter of fact, once the game is fully released, you can no longer actually do any type of pledging and get any ships like that. Once the game is released, you have to buy it with in-game currency.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty of it too, is... I mean, we're just pledging, we're funding the game for them to make it as great as they can, and the only thing, it doesn't feel like it's a money sink, like everybody seems to think it is, and it's a unique system. Like I said, it's crowdsourcing at its best as far as I've seen, and I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, I'm even thinking about selling my pledge and upgrading to a higher pledge, which is also something you really don't see any place do. It's like, oh, we don't have enough money. Well, too bad, you pledged this. You stick with this.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got the 300i and I saw the 15p and was like, oh man, I wish I got that one. And then I saw for $10 you can upgrade to that one. I was like, sold.
So, one of the things they're supposed to be announcing sometime this week is the dogfighting module, which I was kind of hoping they would say something in Wingman's Hanger that came out today, but they mostly just talked about how the servers are going to be working, and they're like on the cusp of getting ready to roll that out. But
it should be in the report, because he said last week's report that in this week they should have a date for it. So.
Yeah, and that's a lot of another area where some people are giving them shit for it because the dogfighting module got delayed. And the reason why the dogfighting module got delayed is because they actually hit so many stretch goals that they decided to go ahead and revamp how dogfighting is going to work, because they wasn't expecting to make as much money as they have. Like, even back in December when it was originally supposed to come out, and they didn't want to release the module that wouldn't be representative of how it was actually going to be in the final game. So they decided just to scrap it and delay the module that everybody would get to play. That way, when we actually do get to play the module, it's how it should be in the final game. So it's not like they're just dicking around. And again, I don't want to like harp on that too much, but like again, that's what I'm excited about because I know that they're taking this serious, and they actually just brought in like one of the main guys from Blizzard that worked on like WoW, like a couple of the expansions and Diablo 3 and stuff, that has a lot of background in bringing these, big multiplayer games together as part, and bringing Star Citizen out too. So they're expanding. They're definitely using the funds they've made to make it the best game possible.
Yeah, I mean, and if people are like, "Ooh, Blizzard, MMOs," they're still sticking to the unique style. They're just getting people with experience, kind of just
Yeah.
as a consultant, somebody to kind of help it
Right.
along. They're still going to stay to the core of what they wanted to do, which, funny
Yeah.
enough, was just supposed to be an online flight simulator with combat, but has expanded because of all these stretch goals into so much more, with the introduction of being able to mine resources, crafting, which originally crafting wasn't even an idea. They were just like, oh, well, nah, we're not so sure we want to do that. Now they're all for it. So there's a
Yeah,
lot
there's
more.
going to be
that's just
ground
added.
combat as well.
Yeah, even combat was something that was added. That wasn't something they considered. And it's kind of to segue into that, as far as the gameplay is set up. I really like how they described how they're going to do ground combat or even just space combat. It's all skill shots. It's not abilities, like you go ahead and you push it and it's going to do this, it's going to do that, which is something I did like in Star Wars Galaxies, but as time goes by, as far as gameplay evolving, it's probably better for ground combat that you have just shots. That way nobody can really argue as far as it's, certain things are not balanced. Everybody just has guns. Everybody's shooting. You're either going to do well or you're not. The only person you could really blame in the end is yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Even
one of the
playing
things that I was talking about when it came to when you're flying your ship, and like especially like dogfighting and stuff. People were having issue with the fact that you could go in third person and look at the ship and get a wider spectrum that you could see while dogfighting. And what they said, like to basically reassure that it's not really an advantage. It's a give and take thing, because if you go into third person and you're not in the cockpit, you don't have access to your radar or any of your instruments. And when it comes to dogfighting, like your radar is necessity. Like you might be able to see what's going on in front of you a lot better, but the second they're behind you, they're gone. Like because you can't literally see them.
No.
You have no access to your instruments and stuff. You have to be in first person, and that's one of the things that they're really pushing with the game, is that immersion. They want everything to feel like you can touch it. It's really there.
You're
it
there.
has a purpose. Like even the instruments, they got placeholders now. Like if you have the hangar module and you get inside your ship, a lot of the displays and stuff's like just placeholders. They say they are striving to actually have those placeholders to actually be a working instrument that's going to be like adjusting air pressure in the hold and shit like that.
Yeah, to kind of add to that and then quickly just answer Manu's question. In dogfighting, we also discussed where like you made the joke about me being a pay-to-win player because I want to upgrade from my Aurora LN to eventually a Hornet, because I kind of want to start off with that. But the funny thing is, when you have different ships, it's more utility. Sure, they're going to have slightly better weapons, slightly better speed, slightly better shields, and so on, but what they've stated so far is the difference really is, at least when it comes to certain ships, a matter of skill. It's not pay to win. It's not, oh, this ship's going to be infinitely better than that one. I mean, except for if you have a destroyer fighting against an Aurora, and obviously the destroyer is going to mess the Aurora up in a single shot. But when you have...
You can run someone over just with a ship.
yeah, just ram into and be done with it. But when you have... I'm going to use the word tier, even though it's a nasty word to use. But when you have ships of different tiers, like maybe even just a few apart, then it still comes down to more skill than it does the equipment you're using. And I greatly appreciate that. But in the Manu's question, I'm sorry if I butchered that, I'm trying, is he wanted to, or the person wanted to know, if we think that 90% of the players are going to end up turning into pirates or military pilots.
Nobody wants to be a pirate.
No. Well, yeah, I guess I can probably even segue into the whole death system. But I don't think many people are going to be pirates because the game strongly tries to
Punish
deter
you.
you and punish you from doing so. If you were in civil space and you're killing other people and you're blowing their ship up, local law enforcement takes notice, and eventually they'll try and chase you down.
Outlanders.
And if you're one of the bastards that actually kills people after they've ejected, the law enforcement's going to show the same respect to you. You can't even go into civil space without being attacked. Then
Right.
it goes even further to where it'll have NPC bounty hunters, which usually have the tricked out ships chasing after you, even into lawless space, as well as actual in-game bounties that these players you're killing are probably going to be pissed off and enacting on you.
Right.
That's
And
why
I mean,
it's interesting with pirating, because you can almost it takes a lot of skill to pull that off.
Oh, yeah.
So I think people who pull that off is gonna get a lot of praise because of how.
Oh, they'll be legendary. But most of the
Yeah.
piracy, I think, is going to happen in lawless space. As far as everybody being military, no. Like me, I'm probably going to be spending most of my time mining, trading, doing all the stuff that Nate would consider very boring. And there's definitely going to be a lot of peaceful activities that are available. And again, that's what I love about this game is that freedom. You can
Fucking
do what
nerd.
you want to do. You don't necessarily have to go ahead and just shoot other people, just go straight into combat and only combat. There's other options.
right. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things they actually addressed in Wingman's Hangar today is like a lot of people are actually reluctant to want to go out and traverse and explore because they're worried about pirates. And
Pirates.
they kind of have like an elegant way of handling that in the same sense of like, I think it's
I'd say high risk,
I
high
wanna say
reward.
It's Titanfall where basically they matchmake all the, or no, maybe it's a Grand Theft Auto Online where basically they put all the cheaters in one, like they match them all together. That way, cheaters are playing with cheaters and shit like that. that's kind of not necessarily exactly like that, but it's kind of what they're doing with Star Citizen, where like you was already talking about like lawless systems. For you to really pirate and get away with it and be able to do it on a regular basis, you would have to do it in a lawless system. But the fact of the matter is, with you doing that in a lawless system, you're also dealing with other pirates. So it's not going to be even though it's going to be considered like fair game in that system, it's not necessarily going to mean that it's easier. And
It's like
if,
a
you know, if
PvP
you-
designated zone for anybody who's
Right.
familiar with a lot of other MMOs.
Right.
It's just
But
that's what
you
it's made
can
for.
still do it in a lawed zone, but it's just going to be more difficult. And even like if you, and we was talking about this earlier, if you board another person's ship, you kill them and you take their ship, that ship is basically now on all bounty hunters and all the law to be looked out for because they know that is a stolen ship. So you can't just cruise around in that ship that you stole and flaunting.
Can you dismantle that ship?
Yeah,
Yes, you
that's
can.
the one thing you can do though is since you can't really just cruise around in it because the law is going to be after you, you can break it down, sell the parts, and carry on
So you
about your
can
business.
become a shop.
Yeah, but
Right, exactly.
the good thing is though is to the unfortunate player that has to experience their ship getting stolen and then broken down. If you have insurance, you're okay. So you're not being, you're being griefed to some degree, but it's not as bad as a lot of other games that take it to much more horrible levels that some people do.
Or the carrier must be the most.
Daisy's a perfect example.
What? I don't understand what's griefing about shooting somebody in the leg, breaking their leg, bandage them, and then they're stuck there and they have to crawl. What? Come on, what do you mean?
But the death system, I like the death system is going to be interesting for a lot of different people because a lot of people can feel differently about it. There is a permadeath but not permadeath thing that they're doing. Once your ship blows up, the way it's going to work is you have a certain amount of time to eject from your ship. Once you eject, it works a few different ways. Either your friends can pick you up within a certain period of time, the enemy can pick you up and hold you for ransom, to which you still kind of respawn back at a certain point, but you end up having to pay out a certain amount of your credits to them as like a pirate fee for a hostage. Or if nobody gets you within a certain period of time, the game kind of magically has a spaceship come pick you up and takes you to the nearest planet. Now, unfortunately, if you do not pop out soon enough and you blow up with your ship, or if somebody is an asshole and shoots you after you eject, the way they're going to handle it is your character will be charred, messed up, but your character's technically not dead. Again, magical medic ship comes out of nowhere and saves you, takes you to the nearest med bay, or your friends can pick you up and the same thing happens. And your character will either just be disfigured, like they'll have scars in different places, or they'll have like prosthetic arms or legs. And the way it'll work is you can only die so many times, and then what happens is when you first create your character, you have to designate like a character name, whatever you want to put, and that person's your benefactor. You kind of create a new character that's going to have that benefactor's name, but the way it's going to work is you still keep all of your stuff. The only thing that's going to change is, one, it's a new character, and, well, as far as actual design and name, only a new character, and your reputation with certain factions will go down a little bit, but you still get to keep everything else. So it's not like permadeath in other games to where you're kind of just boned and you have to start fresh all over again. You still keep some of that progression going forward.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
It will. The only thing it will mess up for some people is probably the role players, and they definitely said they feel that if anything, it's going to strengthen that immersion, because then it's like your story lives on, your legend lives on through this other character.
And also
it's like a legacy.
Yeah, and you go to longer length to make that person survive, and you get like a hardcore mode in like Diablo or whatever.
I'm not sure if they're gonna automatically equal out the game system. I think the freedom is there, and you do with it what you want to. So you can go ahead and do as much as you want to. If you want to kind of split it out evenly between everything, you can. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to try and force you to evenly do everything. It's kind of however you want to do it.
Yeah, one thing I think from an explorer perspective, I expect people like try and kill me if I go into a lawless system or whatever. I mean, you have to be. People are like, I just want to explore and doesn't want to see combat. Tough shit. You just have to live with it. I mean, you're in a game, in a world where that can happen. So you just have to be smart, be clever about how and where you.
Or have a big ass ship or an entourage that's taking you around.
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of goes into, like, you know, with the organizations and the different, you know, basically jobs that you could have in the game, and also NPCs as well. So if you want to explore and you feel reluctant about it, and you know, you're worried about getting pirated, one, obviously, you can join an organization and get the benefits of having them have your back, or if you don't want to go that route, you can also actually hire NPCs, and they can pilot you know, if you own more than one ship, you can actually have the NPCs pilot your ships, and basically the more you spend on it, and Mark actually found this on the NPC, the better skills they have.
Yeah.
So there's always basically everything is balanced out. I mean, something bad could go with this, but there's always something I could use this, and it won't be so bad. And they definitely are taking the time to balance out everything as much as they can, but they don't want to lose the realism. I mean, there's no way that you can go just start flying around and completely feel safe. The only real safe zone that they said that they can guarantee you is in your hangar. Everything else is fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add, you can't take a planet and make a city or stuff like that. You can make a Death Star if you like. I don't know to what degree you can make a space station, but you can just make hangars and all sort just connect to one giant space station. I don't know if you can actually make a Death Star, but that would be quite interesting.
Funny enough, that's our background image.
Factories is what you can build on planets to get resources from different planets.
And another thing I find like really exciting about the game is that a lot of the stuff that actually the majority of stuff that we've already discussed is what's going to be in the game at release. Like they've already confirmed well over 100 different star systems that you can explore at the release of the game. This is all, again, at the release of the game. they are
Yeah.
completely dedicated to continually expand the game as it continues, as the years go on. So, like, this is all everything that we're excited for at launch. The whole, basically colonizing or taking over a planet, just because you can't do it now or at launch, that doesn't mean that, a year, 2 years down the road, that won't be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how much money they're making without the game even being released, once the game is released, and just so on. There's just so many different possibilities that they can go ahead and tap into. Again, I'm sorry, Star Wars Galaxies. I'm a huge fanboy of it, that's why I keep using it as an example. But like Star Wars Galaxies, you can probably eventually even go down to these planets, because you could already set up harvesters, which will probably set up harvesters everywhere. But eventually, I'm more than sure you can probably have player housing, to where you can go ahead and build these player cities and so on. I mean, they've already talked about implementing a player economy, which is a good start. So the possibilities are practically endless. It all comes down to what they want to do, and I'm more than sure that they're going to expand further from release. I don't think they're just going to release the game and be like, all right, we're done here.
I'm hoping that it didn't sound like they wanted to do that people could run for like politics stuff in the game, but I think that is one of the things that would be rather cool if you could be like in the council of the UEE or like whatever it is, or like just run a city as a mayor or something like that. That would be pretty awesome.
And that would be. It's definitely a feature I look forward to, too. I think what they're doing, though, is the organization is kind of what they're seeing as your own forms of government and being mayors and stuff like that, or at least for now.
And, like, even if they, like, say the whole, like, colonizing the planet and, like, basically running it and, it's your planet. Even if they decide to never, ever do that, they've already confirmed that the game will support mods if you run your own server. So even if, the makers don't do it, somebody else could totally make a mod, and you can use their mod and have that kind of stuff in your own server. So, I mean, like I said, it's pretty exciting, the fact that really the sky is the limit with this game, quite literally.
Water City. I so want the Water City. Even underwater city. That would be so epic.
An underwater city? In space!
Yeah.
And again, I mean, that's why we really want everybody involved with Carthage Industries, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing. We're probably going to try and create our own little Death Star. Maybe not for the purpose of wrecking stuff, but just at least like a space station.
You, but,
The respect.
Funny thing is I already have both Nate and Mark already conspiring against me, and we haven't even started. Like, yeah, we're eventually going to go ahead and turn on Anthony. That's our plan.
I've already said it. It's not that we're planning on taking over. We're just not throwing that option out the window yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be a fun scenario if that ever does come into play.
So I think, we pretty much covered anything else. We're going to head into final thoughts here, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, 2 kilometers long carriers. We need to just add that out there. There's gonna be what it's like 1.5 in miles or something like that.
I thought it was meters or something like that.
Yeah, no, but you can have as much as 2 kilometer carrier. They have announced that. They haven't announced which one that's going to be 2 kilometer long, but damn, that is just you can have 2 whole football field big ships.
You need it for ships and cargo, man. Come here.
Yeah, but it's just massive when you think about it.
Yeah, but it's definitely something I'm excited for. Again, the whole community thing, getting this Carthage Industries up and off the ground, getting people to join it, having all of us having a good time, working on the series, doing whatever it is we plan on doing, and just having fun with it. And we were discussing.
I want to address this question by Manu, who talks about different countries.
Oh yeah, go for it.
It's very interesting because I went through like the whole organization part of it, and there's like from all over, but Germany, France, Spain are very big into the game. You also have Korea. I found one. China has one organization, and yeah, and also Scandinavia. Funny enough, the Swedish one wrote their manifesto and stuff in English. It's typical Swedish way to do it. We don't write it in our own language.
And I mean, as far as other countries working together, I mean, we have Mark. Mark is the bloody fucking amazing sandwich-making king of Sweden, and he's one of our pillars. He's literally one of the things that's holding this organization up. So, I mean, we may have different time zones. Mark's a trooper. He usually stays up more than half the time, longer than we usually would. And we all still manage to work together as a team. And as far as our organization is concerned, we are going to have people kind of going around the clock, constantly trying to have somebody, once we get bigger, of course. I mean, with our 7 people, that might not be the case starting out. But again, that's our end game, is to have everybody from everywhere just having fun.
And that also brings up a good thing that, you know, for us seems pretty obvious, but as far as our organization is concerned, that we hold no prejudice over anybody. Everybody is accepted. So it's not like, oh, if you're going to join an organization, you have to be from America, or it's like some stupid stuff like that. Like
an alien race.
America. Oh no, that's funny enough. Is in the charter, I even wrote that down. I'm like, Carthage Industries did not discriminate against species, ethnicity, gender, or any other things that can be considered derogatory.
Yeah. So are we going for last words now?
Oh yeah, this is the final countdown. Let's go ahead and say
all hail the Freemasons.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I was so surprised when I got that one. Like, dude, did you guys?
I'm telling you, they're gonna brainwash you, man. They're gonna brainwash you. I'm putting in chat the link to our organization, but also at the same time, it's robertsspaceindustries.com/orgs as an organizations /Carthage if you want to go ahead and check it out.
Homosexual.
Yes, we are including homosexuals.
Even for
if you want to put it that way.
Selling space pussy part.
Oh no. Oh yeah. So quick story. I originally said that we should have escorts. Now, when I say escorts, I didn't mean the way everybody, and probably you at home, thinking I meant escorts right off the bat. I meant the traditional kind of escort, which is just somebody who's classy and goes with you to different events, so that way, like the way it was back in the day, rich old people didn't feel like they were lonely suckers. They had something to present. Like, see, look, I'm not by myself. These guys thought I was talking about trying to sell prostitutes in space. Like, no.
No, me and Mark, in all of our naive glory, we thought you was talking about like escorting people to like different star systems.
That's what
like,
security's for.
But,
yeah. But originally it's flavor text because, no, we'll get to that inside joke in a minute. Originally I said it was flavor text because it's just text because of this huge story that's on Carthage Industries that I was in the process of writing. I honestly didn't think any players would be interested in being escorts, which we named to consorts. That way it's less likely to be considered that other stuff that it's not. And it's funny because, Nate, I'll let you go ahead and say your quote that you decided to come up with for this.
Flavor text equals space pussy.
Yes, it's slang for that, apparently. And I'm sorry that's a little vulgar for anybody watching at home, but it's funny, and they're never going to let me live it down, even though it was a complete misunderstanding. But it is what it is.
But it's also a good example of our humor and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we like to have fun.
Yeah, but you also said, like, first when I got on, like, or like we're going for like two weirder escorts. Well, like, what the fuck? you were going into that part as well. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it if you're like, oh, escorts that doesn't do the whole.
Well, no, because what I was saying is if anybody wanted to do that in the game, that was their prerogative. I said, but do you think I'd be in trouble if that's something we allowed? But that wasn't the intention. The original intention was exactly what I said it was. It was like the Mass Effect consorts, which Nate kind of put it in perspective.
Chris Roberts would get mad if we try to sell some pussy.
That's not what I said. Yes, we're going to include atheists as well, Lambent. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is. We don't care. It's we're all people in the end.
Unless you're an alien, and then you're an alien.
You're still a person.
Yeah.
Aliens are people too.
No. Aliens are things.
Wow. I think I've said my piece. You got anything, Nate?
Really, we covered everything. I mean, honestly, I think you've already gathered from this long discussion we've already had. We're really excited about it. We definitely want to raise our ranks with the organization. Again, thanks to Anthony for all the hard work that he put into actually filling out our history and manifesto and stuff like that.
So we don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So we can be lazy and don't do shit.
That's right.
You guys still work, because you guys will work when the game comes out.
That's right. We'll be doing all the muscle work when the game comes out. So.
Right.
And then Anthony will start doing the boring stuff. What an
Hey,
idiot.
hey. I'm going to be the one that's going to be financially backing us for the most part.
Yeah, but then if maybe I bring in more money than you, what do you say about that? Or even Nate?
Then I'll be like, congratulations, you guys finally pulling your weight. Oh.
So, I mean, but what he's saying is, what if we end up, like, holding majority shares?
I'm hearing the hostile takeover plan again. Well, I've already written off in my will and already planning of you guys planning to kill me that if I were to die, it gets sent to my benefactor. So they are still going to be CEO. So that branch is always going to be covered by somebody else, even if I die.
I thought you were going to say, I'm going to send it to Edmund.
Yes, we said Edmund. Like, that'd be amazing if like he just grabs a keyboard and mouse and just is like the best pilot in the world.
No, he's gonna get on there and be like, "Hey guys, I'm playing this game because my dad's a fucking nerd."
I guess that about does it. Thanks, Nate and Mark, Crown, for coming on. And
you can't decide yourself.
everybody who's in the stream, thank you for showing up as well. And everybody who's watching at home on YouTube once this gets posted up. And until next time.
See ya.
Yeah, bye. From Mark Crown.